Beloved, hear this truth. Not every servant of darkness comes wrapped in shadows, and not every demonic force shows itself with fangs and horns. Some of the most dangerous spiritual threats walk on 2 feet, smile politely, and speak softly while carrying a darkness deep within their soul. There are people whose hearts have become so polluted, whose minds have been so twisted that they no longer need a demon to whisper to them because they have become one with the wickedness they entertain. Their presence shakes your peace long before you recognize when they step into your space. The atmosphere shifts, your spirit tightens, and something inside you senses that what stands before you is not merely a troubled person, but a vessel carrying spiritual contamination. These individuals drain joy without saying a word, disrupt harmony simply by being near, and release an invisible heaviness that presses against the soul. Many walk through life unaware that darkness can wear a human face, unaware that the spiritual realm often expresses itself through human behavior. And beloved, this is where the danger lies. A demonic spirit that manifests through a person is far more destructive than one appearing in its true form, because a familiar face is easier to trust, easier to allow close, easier to ignore until the damage is already done. There are people who speak like friends but carry the intentions of enemies. People who appear gentle but are spiritually violent. People whose hearts have opened so many doors to evil that they no longer fight the darkness. They serve it. These are not ordinary toxic personalities. These are carriers of spiritual poison disguised as ordinary humans. They infiltrate your peace, disrupt your destiny, and drain your strength while pretending innocence. And the greatest tragedy is that many believers ignore the warning signs because the enemy rarely attacks directly. He uses people you interact with daily. Understand this: spiritual warfare does not only happen at midnight, it happens during conversations, in friendships, in relationships, in connections that seem harmless. The enemy's strategy is subtle, and his preferred weapon is a person who willingly or blindly cooperates with darkness. Beloved, this is why discernment is not optional. You must learn to recognize when a person is no longer operating from their own mind, but from a spirit that seeks to damage yours. You must acknowledge when someone's presence consistently drains your energy, steals your joy, or disrupts your peace. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual indicators. And today, by the leading of the Holy Spirit, we are exposing the hidden truth many ignore. There are human beings who have become gateways for demonic influence. When you encounter them, do not reason with the darkness inside them. Do not negotiate with their behavior. Do not ignore the spiritual weight you feel. When you recognize what they carry, beloved, you must run. When we talk about a human demon, beloved, we are not speaking about some mythical creature or a Hollywood invention. We are speaking about a person who has opened their soul so widely to darkness that evil no longer needs to knock. It simply walks in and makes itself at home. A human demon is someone who has allowed wickedness to shape their identity, someone who no longer resists harmful impulses but embraces them, nurtures them, and acts through them with pleasure rather than remorse. This isn't the person who struggles with sin and cries out for deliverance. This is the person who enjoys their cruelty, who finds satisfaction in manipulation, who feels empowered by causing spiritual or emotional harm. They are not just influenced by darkness, they have become vessels through which darkness expresses itself. Every thought they entertain, every decision they justify, every action they take becomes another doorway for unclean spirits to move through them freely. Such a person does not suddenly become this way overnight. It is the result of repeated compromises, intentional rebellion, and ignored convictions. Over time, their conscience becomes quiet, their compassion dries up, and their moral boundaries collapse. They begin to operate with a coldness that feels unnatural, with a level of spiritual numbness that reveals something deeper at work. You see, demons rarely force their way into a person. They wait for agreement. And when someone continually chooses bitterness, hatred, revenge, deception, or perversion, they unknowingly give demons legal access to their heart. Eventually, the person's behavior stops looking like ordinary human weakness and starts resembling something spiritually darker, something calculated, destructive, and spiritually hostile. This is why not every evil action should be dismissed as just their personality. Some personalities are shaped by human choices, yes, but others are being shaped by spiritual forces that have found a willing partner. A human demon becomes a channel through which the enemy accomplishes his agenda to steal peace, destroy relationships, break destinies, and contaminate hearts. They speak words that carry venom, not because they are frustrated, but because they enjoy the impact of their destruction. They manipulate situations not because they are insecure, but because they crave power and control. They harm others not out of ignorance, but out of a willingness to cooperate with darkness. And beloved, what makes them so dangerous is that they seldom appear threatening. Many look charming, respectful, and even spiritual. They can quote scripture, smile sweetly, and pretend to care. Yet inside their spirit is a playground for demonic influence. Their outward appearance distracts others from noticing the spiritual poison they carry. They are capable of great deception because they have learned how to hide their true nature behind a mask of innocence. But when you examine their patterns, their intentions, and the spiritual atmosphere around them, you notice the truth. Their presence brings confusion instead of clarity, heaviness instead of peace, chaos instead of stability. This is the difference between a broken soul and an evil vessel. A broken soul hurts others unintentionally because it is wounded. An evil vessel hurts others deliberately because it is aligned with darkness. A broken soul seeks healing. An evil vessel resists it. A broken soul desires God's mercy. An evil vessel mocks it. And understanding this distinction is the first step in recognizing when someone has crossed the line from simply being troubled to becoming a human demon. Beloved, the spiritual nature of evil people is unlike anything the human eye can easily recognize. These individuals do not simply exist in sin or wander in darkness by accident. They often choose it willingly, embracing thoughts, habits, and lifestyles that open doors for demonic activity. They are comfortable with destruction, accustomed to manipulation, and familiar with cruelty, not as temporary lapses, but as part of their identity. Unlike a struggling soul who wrestles with sin and seeks God's guidance, evil people often glorify their darkness, finding satisfaction in behaviors that weaken, confuse, or harm others. Their hearts have become arenas where demonic influence can operate without restriction, and their minds are fertile ground for lies, deception, and pride. Demons prefer to work through such individuals because humans can blend into society, hide behind charm, and gain trust in ways that spirits alone cannot. The enemy rarely needs to appear in his full, terrifying form when he has willing vassals walking among unsuspecting people, smiling and speaking words that seem harmless while carrying spiritual destruction. What makes these people especially dangerous is their ability to disguise their true nature. Many appear kind, gentle, even loving, while internally harboring intentions that are dark and destructive. The enemy's greatest tactic is to mask evil as light, to dress deception in beauty, and to make poison appear as nourishment. Just as the Bible warns that false prophets can appear as angels of light, so too can human demons present themselves in ways that fool the unsuspecting. They know how to manipulate perceptions, how to control environments, and how to influence emotions to achieve spiritual gain for darkness. Often they are masterful at creating a sense of trust while quietly sowing fear, jealousy, and division. Their presence is like a cloud over the spirit. You cannot always see the wind, but you feel its chilling effects. Evil people are also experts at exploiting weakness. They identify areas of vulnerability, fear, pride, ambition, insecurities, and use these like levers to manipulate, trap, or destroy. They enjoy seeing confusion, watching chaos unfold, and measuring how much influence they can exert without being confronted. Their actions are not random, they are calculated, informed by a spiritual understanding of how humans think and feel. They take advantage of emotions, relationships, and even spiritual convictions to erode faith and stability in others. Unlike a soul that occasionally stumbles, they operate with precision, patience, and persistence, allowing the enemy to accomplish objectives through them over time. One of the most insidious aspects of such people is that their evil is often invisible until it has already caused damage. They can be witty, persuasive, and socially adept, making it difficult for others to recognize the spiritual threat they carry. They often mimic spiritual behavior, quoting scripture or speaking of God, while simultaneously advancing darkness in hidden ways. This duality is a hallmark of their nature, outwardly attractive, inwardly corrupt, able to inspire trust while spreading confusion. Discernment becomes essential, for without spiritual insight, one may mistake deception for sincerity, manipulation for affection, and control for guidance. Understanding the spiritual nature of evil people is the first step in protecting yourself, because it reveals a truth that many ignore. Some humans are not just influenced by darkness, they are carriers of it intentionally or willingly, walking among us while serving the enemy's purpose. Beloved, one of the clearest signs of a human demon is the immediate heaviness that fills the room the moment they appear. It is subtle yet undeniable, a sudden shift in atmosphere, a drop in energy, a tension that prickles the spirit before the mind even registers what is happening. When a person carries darkness in this way, your soul senses it first. You may find yourself anxious, restless, or irritated without knowing why. Conversations that should feel normal suddenly become draining, even if no harsh words are spoken. There is an invisible weight that presses down on your spirit, an uneasiness that cannot be explained by circumstance or logic. This is not simply someone's bad mood or personality. This is a spiritual presence moving through human form, and its effects are tangible to those sensitive to the Spirit. It is important to notice how this heaviness manifests. Your thoughts may feel clouded, your emotions frayed, and your inner calm disrupted. You may feel sudden tension in your chest, a sinking in your stomach, or a prickling along your spirit, as if something unseen is pressing against you. Even in casual encounters, the energy they carry drains hope and joy. Their presence can turn laughter into discomfort, conversation into stress, and fellowship into fatigue. Those who are spiritually aware often feel the atmosphere before words are spoken, recognizing the subtle signals that indicate spiritual danger. The environment seems darker, and even the simplest interactions leave you unsettled. Human demons have learned to wield this destructive influence unconsciously or deliberately. They radiate an aura that unsettles, confuses, or intimidates, often without raising suspicion from those around them. People may dismiss their effect as personal insecurity or oversensitivity, but repeated experiences reveal a pattern. Their energy is heavy, oppressive, and spiritually disruptive. The enemy prefers to use humans in this way because it allows darkness to operate under a mask of normality. The subtlety is what makes it dangerous. You may even be drawn to engage with them, to reason or to justify their behavior, all while your spirit is silently under attack. This invasion of peace is not limited to emotional discomfort. It affects spiritual receptivity. Prayers may feel delayed, meditation or worship may feel blocked, and clarity from God can seem distant in their presence. They steal focus, distract the mind, and create unrest that is almost impossible to shake. Even brief interactions may leave you depleted, emotionally raw, and spiritually drained. The sensation is like carrying a weight that belongs to someone else, absorbing tension, negativity, and chaos as though it were being transferred into your spirit. Beloved, you must learn to recognize this sign, because it is often the first indicator that someone is spiritually dangerous. A human demon does not need to speak a single cruel word to harm you. Their very presence is enough to disturb your peace. When you feel consistent heaviness around a person, repeated emotional agitation, or sudden explanation, it is often a sign that darkness is moving through them. Your peace is precious, and its disruption is a spiritual alarm meant to alert you that something more than ordinary human behavior is at work. Beloved, one of the most dangerous traits of a human demon is their ability to manipulate emotions with precision and intent. This manipulation is not casual or accidental. It is deliberate, subtle, and often undetectable at first. They twist words, bend situations, and exploit your vulnerabilities to make you feel guilty, anxious, or doubtful about your own perceptions. Conversations that should bring clarity instead leave you confused, questioning yourself, and second-guessing your feelings. Their influence seeps into your mind slowly, creating a fog over your thoughts, so that even when you logically know the truth, your spirit feels unsettled. They have perfected the art of turning kindness into weaponry and care into control, making you doubt your own instincts while they silently achieve their agenda. These individuals often gaslight without remorse. They take situations, conversations, or events and reframe them to make you feel responsible for their actions or moods. They cause chaos, but when you respond, they blame you for reacting, making you feel as though you are overreacting or imagining the reality of the situation. This psychological manipulation is spiritually dangerous because it not only confuses your mind, but also erodes your faith and emotional resilience over time. You may notice patterns where you feel drained or anxious immediately after engaging with them, yet you cannot articulate why. The impact is cumulative. Each interaction leaves your confidence shaken, your heart heavy, and your spirit weakened. Emotional manipulation by such people is rarely straightforward. They can appear compassionate, concerned, and understanding, all while subtly undermining your self-worth or confidence. Their actions are carefully calculated to make you dependent on their approval, seeking validation from a source that secretly desires your instability. They are experts at identifying insecurities, past wounds, or unresolved fears, and then exploiting them to create control and chaos. Through this, they implant doubt, fear, and guilt into your life, all without revealing their true intentions. Many who encounter such people feel exhausted emotionally and spiritually, unable to regain clarity because the manipulation is designed to distort perception and weaken resolve. A human demon's goal is not simply to irritate or provoke. It is to steal joy, undermine faith, and weaken your spirit so that you become more susceptible to further influence. They may pressure you into decisions, subtly distort reality, or make you feel inadequate for holding boundaries. Even small interactions can leave a lingering sense of unrest, and prolonged exposure often results in significant emotional and spiritual depletion. Their manipulation is rarely obvious to outsiders, making it difficult for others to recognize the threat, while the target suffers silently. Recognizing this sign requires spiritual discernment. You must learn to notice when someone's words leave you unsettled, when their explanations feel inconsistent, or when you find yourself apologizing for your own thoughts and emotions unnecessarily. A human demon excels at making you question your reality and perceive yourself as the problem. Their emotional manipulation is a spiritual tactic designed to disorient, control, and weaken. Every interaction with them subtly drains peace, erodes confidence, and plants seeds of fear or guilt that grow over time, leaving your mind and spirit vulnerable to further attacks. Beloved, one of the most revealing characteristics of a human demon is the way they use words as instruments of destruction. Their speech does not nurture, encourage, or bring hope. It wounds, discourages, and sows confusion. Every sentence, every comment, and even every casual remark can carry poison designed to weaken your spirit. They are masters at twisting reality, turning harmless situations into sources of fear, doubt, and insecurity. Conversations that should uplift or inspire instead leave a residue of heaviness, guilt, or anxiety in your heart. Their words are rarely neutral. They are deliberately crafted to spread spiritual decay, disunity, and discouragement. often without anyone realizing the full impact of their influence. A person operating in darkness will rarely speak life. They gossip relentlessly, spreading rumors and half-truths that create division between friends, families, and colleagues. They enjoy stirring up jealousy, confusion, and suspicion, carefully planting seeds that grow into conflict and tension. Their words are weapons designed to destabilize emotional, relational, and spiritual foundations. Even their praise or compliments are often laced with subtle manipulation, creating doubt or making others question their intentions. You may find yourself replaying conversations in your mind, feeling unsettled, wondering if you misunderstood or questioning your own reactions. This is the subtle art of spiritual sabotage that such people employ. Human demons also specialize in criticism that is cruelly disguised as advice. They can make you feel as though your efforts are meaningless, your faith is weak, or your achievements are insignificant. Their encouragement is rare and usually superficial, while their focus is on highlighting flaws, pointing out weaknesses, and magnifying mistakes. Every word serves a purpose: to tear down confidence, to erode joy, and to instill fear or uncertainty. When repeated over time, their speech can alter your perception of yourself and the world around you, leaving you spiritually vulnerable and emotionally drained. Even in situations where the truth is clear and good intentions are evident, these individuals have a way of twisting narratives, ensuring that negativity becomes the dominant perspective. They amplify failures, overlook blessings, and trivialize accomplishments. Their language is never neutral, and it is rarely accidental. Whether through jokes, sarcasm, gossip, or criticism, they create environments where hope and faith are difficult to maintain. Spiritual people bring life and encouragement with their words, nurturing those around them and strengthening relationships. Human demons do the opposite, making every interaction feel heavy, contentious, or toxic. Beloved, the danger of this type of speech is compounded by the fact that it can influence not only those they speak to directly, but also those around them. Their negativity spreads like a ripple in water, contaminating atmospheres and affecting the emotional and spiritual climate of families, workplaces, and communities. Words spoken in malice, even subtly, leave wounds that are hard to heal and burdens that feel impossible to shake. The human demon wields speech as a weapon, targeting your peace, joy, and faith, leaving you spiritually drained and emotionally unstable. Every conversation with such a person carries the risk of being spiritually poisoned, as their focus is never on building, blessing, or supporting life, but on tearing down, discouraging, and spreading destruction. Beloved, one of the most chilling signs of a human demon is their ability to take pleasure in the suffering of others. These individuals are not simply indifferent to your struggles, they actively celebrate your hardships. When your life is shaken, when misfortune strikes, or when you face disappointment, they smile, laugh, or quietly rejoice as though your pain fuels their existence. This is not the normal human tendency to feel sympathy or distance from others' problems. This is a spirit-driven delight in destruction. Their hearts are hardened against compassion, and they are energized by the distress of those around them. Every tear you shed, every setback you endure, is secretly a source of satisfaction for them. They often disguise this joy as concern or curiosity, masking their true intentions behind words that seem innocent. They ask questions about your challenges, probe into your struggles, and even offer advice, but all of it is designed to measure your vulnerability, expose your weaknesses, and feed their inner delight. The spirit that inhabits them thrives on the chaos they help create, and they carry a dark fascination with seeing people stumble, fail, or suffer. Your moments of pain become their entertainment, your setbacks their hidden victory, and your despair their invisible power source. A human demon who enjoys others' suffering often manipulates circumstances to intensify the struggle. They subtly provoke situations that will cause you emotional or spiritual harm, knowing that it will bring them satisfaction. They can whisper rumors, plant seeds of doubt, or encourage division among friends, family, or colleagues, all to watch the resulting pain unfold. They do not feel guilt, empathy, or remorse. Instead, they thrive in the discomfort and distress of others. Your failures and frustrations become their playground, and they observe with careful attention, savoring the impact of every negative ripple they create. This delight in pain also extends to moments of public embarrassment or private humiliation. When you are criticized, rejected, or misunderstood, they are quick to feel vindicated or pleased. They compare themselves against you, secretly rejoice in your misfortune, and sometimes even subtly orchestrate events that amplify your suffering. Their delight is often hidden behind charm, politeness, or even feigned friendship, making it difficult for outsiders to see the truth. They know how to appear innocent while internally celebrating the damage they are causing. Beloved, such a spirit of enjoyment in others' pain is one of the clearest indicators that someone is spiritually dangerous. It is not merely a bad habit, personality flaw, or momentary lapse. It is a consistent pattern rooted in darkness. Their pleasure in seeing you broken, discouraged, or defeated reveals the depth of spiritual corruption within them. Every interaction, every glance at your misfortune, every subtle gesture of happiness at your suffering is a sign that they are aligned with forces that seek to destroy rather than build. The human demon thrives on your weakness, rejoices in your tears, and carries a spirit that feeds on despair, making it imperative to recognize this pattern before it takes a deeper toll on your heart, mind, and spirit. Beloved, the danger of ignoring spiritual red flags is far greater than most realize, because the enemy rarely attacks in obvious ways. The greatest weapon he wields is a person who appears normal, even trustworthy, yet carries within them a spirit that seeks to destroy. These human vessels of darkness move among us, blending into relationships, families, workplaces, and social circles, while subtly dismantling peace, joy, and faith. Their influence is rarely immediate or explosive. It is gradual, insidious, and cunning, slowly eroding confidence, stability, and spiritual strength until the damage becomes undeniable. Many fail to recognize the signs because darkness often wears a familiar face, speaks like a friend, and presents itself with charm, making it easy to dismiss the heaviness, anxiety, or confusion that surfaces when they are near. Every person in your life carries energy, intentions, and spiritual influence, whether visible or invisible. Some are sent by God to guide, protect, and encourage. Others are used by the enemy to manipulate, weaken, and destroy. Human demons excel at hiding their true nature behind a mask of innocence, respectability, or even apparent spirituality. They may quote scripture, smile warmly, or offer counsel, yet behind these gestures is a deliberate attempt to disrupt your spiritual alignment. Beloved, discernment is not optional. It is a spiritual necessity. When your inner peace is consistently disturbed, when interactions leave you emotionally or spiritually depleted, or when subtle patterns of manipulation and destruction become visible over time, these are warning signals. The enemy's strategy relies on stealth, deception, and patience, using people who seem ordinary to create extraordinary harm. The danger intensifies because these individuals often prey on what you value most: your relationships, your faith, your joy, and your hope. They observe closely, noting weaknesses, comparing themselves to you, and waiting for moments of vulnerability to strike. Their intent is to pull you away from God, distort your perception of reality, and make you question your own discernment. Sometimes the attack is emotional, other times relational or spiritual, but it always carries a cost: confusion, heaviness, anxiety, or even despair. Interactions that should strengthen you instead leave a residue of doubt and fear. Beloved, this is not a mere coincidence. It is the work of darkness operating through willing human vessels. Spiritual awareness allows you to perceive what others cannot. You may feel a sudden heaviness in a room, an unexplainable anxiety after a conversation, or a subtle shift in your emotions when certain people are present. These sensations are spiritual alarms designed to alert you that something more than ordinary is at play. Ignoring them is dangerous, because the longer you allow these influences into your life, the deeper their control can become. Repeated exposure strengthens the spiritual foothold they have, making it more difficult to resist their manipulation or protect your peace. The enemy thrives in secrecy, and human demons serve as hidden channels for his destructive plans. Beloved, every interaction carries spiritual weight. Some people strengthen your faith and character, others drain your energy, cloud your mind, and disrupt your spirit. Human demons are often invisible to the casual eye, yet their impact is profound. The enemy delights in deception, using people you trust or feel close to as instruments of spiritual harm. Your responsibility is to remain vigilant, spiritually alert, and discerning. Pay attention to repeated patterns of emotional, relational, and spiritual disruption. The signs are always present for those who look with spiritual eyes. Darkness never operates openly when it can work in secrecy, and human demons are its preferred channels. Recognizing their presence, understanding their tactics, and identifying the ways they affect your life is crucial for protecting your heart, mind, and spirit from the silent but devastating influence of spiritual destruction.